Well, I'm really happy to have my good friend, Pastor Dave Delaney, with us. Dave, thanks for being with us.
Yes, sir, Larry. Thanks for letting me join.
Dave, we go way back, don't we?
Longer than most people know.
Yeah. How old were you when you came here on staff as a youth pastor?
Oh, 20, 21, I think. Yeah.
You were basically still a teenager.
In a lot of ways, that's actually true. Yeah, I was 21. I'd finished college a little bit early, and I think you were like just either like halfway through your college years or like really close to the end or something.
I think I was, yeah, exactly halfway through it, and
Yeah.
because you were my brother's youth pastor.
Right. Yeah.
But we had a lot of fun times together. I bring that up because you know our church, and I think you have like a love and appreciation for our church, and you know our youth group because you've been here for youth conferences and school revivals. So you were the first person I thought of to come on to our Bible study and just talk to us. So thanks for taking a minute because I know you have a heart for us. And then on top of all that, I've just known you long enough to know you have a heart for junior hires and high school students, as weird as they are and all the problems they have, right? Uh,
Yeah, I love it though. The problems are real, and I enjoy being able to speak into their lives any chance I get. I was thinking the other day though about remember when we were shooting skit videos in the new building, and then the bats were somehow trapped inside of that.
yes,
Do you remember this when we're doing the laser, like the lightsaber scene?
yes,
It was you who broke. It was you who broke it, right? You broke one of the like new vases or whatever that
yeah.
was up
It
there.
was the admin building. It was brand new, and so we were like swinging these lightsabers around and broke a vase. Did we go and buy one, or we went and stole a vase from somewhere?
No, we went out and bought one and replaced it before 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 anybody could tell us it was
Oh
gone.
man, I would never do that now. Buy a vase with my own money, I just leave it. But I do remember that because the admin building was like a week old, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it was like I mean, I don't even think anyone had officially even moved in. Like maybe like your dad's office or something,
Yeah,
but I don't think anybody else had officially moved in.
we're already breaking stuff. Wow, we've broken a lot since then. We try not to. We try not to. That's funny. Good memories. And then you were pastoring in Kentucky, and as part of the ministry there, you had a huge youth conference, one of the biggest ones on the East Coast. And I don't know why you invited me out to that, but good memories there.
Just to have fun. That was I think people, and especially teenagers, I think they appreciate that, because there can be a mindset that toward ministry or church or serving to the Lord, that it's boring, it can't be fun, it has to be cantankerous or grumpy, but
Yeah.
really God's people should be the most joyful people in the world. We have the most to rejoice in.
Yeah, I absolutely, yeah, I agree. And we've had times where we laughed so hard we were just crying. I totally agree. Yeah, if you're a part of our youth group and you're considering praying about ministry, man, we need more people in ministry that know how to have fun. So come and join us. And it's serious, and there's times where we cry together, but man, we should be laughing together too. And so I appreciate
I
that.
think that's true too. Just about Christianity in general. I mean, it's certainly true for on the ministry aspect. But Larry, I would say, even if you're not considering ministry, you should see church as enjoyable. I mean, God isn't interested in like forcing us into these like cranky, grumpy relationships with Him on Sunday morning where we just have to grind it through. But we should enjoy the process of serving the Lord in whatever capacity, He's led us to. And I think, that's something that a lot of teenagers really miss. They miss putting those pieces together because there is a serious nature to what we do. But there's also a joyful nature. We should be sober minded in the world, but we should also go through life with joy, even though we do have a soberness towards certain things.
Right, and those things, I'm glad that you brought it up because I was mentioning ministry, but you're absolutely right, just a Christian life in general. there's not those are compatible to have joy and also be sober. It's not one nor the other. And the other thing, it's not a personality or a temperament either. Some people think that you got to be like that, or some people that are just kind of naturally quiet and introverted think I got to be like. No, it's not even that. It's really about a deep, abiding joy, in your heart. So
I think too, like an understanding that, God created the world, God created us. God takes pleasure in his creation. He sees man and it's good. What wasn't good about man was that man was alone. So God creates relationship, God creates work, God creates, obviously a good environment and places man inside of it. And all of these things are for his betterment, for his enjoyment. The Bible teaches us God gives us all these things to actually enjoy in this life. And I think that's something that, it really gets drowned out a lot of times when we message to our teenagers. And I know your heart, we want them to know this is serving Jesus, living for Jesus. It's a good thing. It's a joyful thing. And it's an enjoyable thing, that we can enjoy this journey.
And it's really the only journey that you can really throw yourself into that will end in no regrets. That's right. Yeah, that's the thing about it. There's in the end, because there are things that we could do that would bring us momentary happiness, fun, right? But those things have regret on the back end of them. Living for Christ and serving him and gathering around with friends in a place like this, there's no regret in that.
Yeah, I'm going through the book of Philippians, and I just was working on this morning for the sermon for next week. And Paul, the book of Philippians is all about joy, and Paul says, for me to live is Christ, and I was really struck with that in my own life. Like, what would I say for me to live is? Because, if for me to live is success or fame or, sexual pleasure or whatever it is, well, then I'm not going to know that joy. I'm not going to know that deep abiding, like I enjoy the journey of life. But if for me to live is Christ, well, Christ is eternal. So the joy that Christ provides to us in the life that we live for him is also eternal. It's joy in the darkest season of your life.
Right. That's so good. Because if for you to live, if it's sports, what happens when you break your leg mid-season? If for you to live is your relationship, what happens when your girlfriend dumps you? Because we all know that's going to happen, right? Jobs, you get fired, or the coronavirus could come and you could get furloughed like a lot of people have. So for you, I love that. That's awesome. How is go ahead.
Well, that's what I love. That's what I love about, interacting with you, Trevor, and the staff there, is that you all really have a joyful spirit as you do ministry, but also as you do life. It's not you're not begrudging it. Oh, I got to do this. And I think teenagers need to see that from us, as leaders. But I also think that a teenager needs to display that toward adults, because sometimes the roles are actually reversed. Young adults are actually enjoying serving Jesus, and older adults are grumpy about it, And so, my challenge to every teenager listening would be just model a joyful spirit as you go about serving Jesus, whether it's the choir, the orchestra, whatever, teen soul winning, whatever it may be. Just have a joyful spirit about serving Jesus, because that's going to be a great example to so many people inside of, your own family dynamic.
It cut out for a second. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Did you get you?
I do want to talk about family dynamics right now, and particularly in relation to what's going on right now with quarantine, because I look to you, and not just you, I look to your family as a family that has fun together, serving the Lord together, and I'm proud of your boys too. You're telling me Gabe just got a job?
Yeah, I got a job. He's a Christian job, because it's at Chick-fil-A. So that was the.
He doesn't even have to pray for his food. So
exactly, he really wanted to work at Raising Cane's, but I just said we're not having that. Cain, he obviously killed Abel, so we're not raising that. So there's no way that's coming in this Ham family.
Although Raising Cane's is pretty good.
You have an argument there. I'm not gonna lie. You have a total argument there, and especially their cane sauce. Their cane sauce kicks Chick-fil-A sauce butt.
Yeah. Maybe offer your son as a sacrifice to Raising Cane's if he can get a job there just to get their chicken. It's really, really good. Okay, so tell me about family, and here's what I wanted to get at, because we are on like the 5th to 6th week of this thing, and just to talking with some of our youth group on Zoom, I'm really proud of them for just the patience that they've had. This goes towards all families. You're cooped up inside all day with your family. There's going to be some stress and some tension and things like that. So maybe would you just give our youth group some ideas for basically staying relationally healthy this time, and maybe some things that you can do not just to get by, but maybe could come out of this with a closer relationship, not just with your family, but with the Lord?
That's difficult to do, because in times like this, we're putting ourselves in situations that actually are increasing our stress. Normally, as we go through life, you go to school, so that kind of decreases whatever stress you might be feeling at home. You go to practice, that kind of that decreases stress, and it serves as a good distraction for whatever family stress you may be feeling. But what we have now is basically we have this environment where we're stuck at home, and there's not a lot of ways to get rid of the stress that you're feeling. So something that, the Lord really challenged me about, just personally, I'm not even talking about like, this is what teenagers ought to do. This is what I'm trying to do in my own life, So I try every day to do something spiritual, something intellectual, something physical, something relational, and then something musical. So I feel like if we're trying to present ourselves in a well-rounded way, then we keep ourselves from doing a couple of things. We keep ourselves from being overly frustrated about stuff that, honestly, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but because we're boxed in, we don't have a way to like prioritize those little things that really don't matter. Second, it keeps us from just, frivolously wasting our day away, and so, just taking a couple of these categories, something spiritual, that's kind of obvious. I want to spend some time every day reading my Bible. I want to spend some time in prayer. So for some days, for me, that's a lot more than other days. Some days I slept in too long, or, I didn't have enough time in the morning. So it was 5 minutes here. And then other times it's more than that, so something spiritual, but something intellectual. So then I'm trying to apply something as far as reading a book, trying to challenge myself outside of just, reading the Bible, so I'm reading a book on life during World War II for the folks in Britain as they're being bombed.
I bet that puts things in perspective, huh?
What's that?
I said, I bet that puts things in perspective.
And the book is The Splendid and the Vile is what the book is called, and it's so good. The guy basically just tracks like all these Londoners, like their journals of what they were doing, like how important tea was. And, it like Churchill has this big old argument about, like, you can't take the Londoners' tea away. It's like their only pleasantry that they have in life right now, and it's so, they're going to church with a face mask, with a gas mask in their purse or their, it's so, challenge yourself intellectually, I'm challenging myself musically, believe it or not. I'm taking up the guitar. I want to learn how to play the guitar. Like I was really challenged by this, in my own life. So challenge yourself musically. What are you're going to say something? I was just
going to say, I'm really glad you're doing the guitar, not like taking vocal lessons or anything. That would have been bad.
Well, I really wanted to do the tuba, because that was like, my hero, Larry the Cucumber, plays the tuba, but Amanda wouldn't let me. She wouldn't let me go for that.
It was too heavy. You couldn't hold it up. Yeah. That's hilarious.
So then, challenge yourself relationally. So what I mean by that is, you want to work on something inside of your relationship with your mom, your dad, your grandparents, your siblings, even your friends. You want a connection point each day in all of those areas. So don't stay in the same house and then never engage. Just You got to have some kind of conversation. And then even if you're not in the same house, don't let a day go by where you aren't interacting with your friends, you know? And lots of studies have been done on this already about just like the sense of loneliness that a lot of people are feeling, because you think your life, you were seeing your friends for 8 hours a day, you know, at school. And now you're seeing them, none. So FaceTime, Zoom, you know, get together, Bible study, do these kind of things because it's important. And then the last one is something physical, you know, so go for a jog, go for a walk, get on the treadmill, do some push-ups. There's all kinds of like in-home exercises you can find, you know, do yoga. I don't care. Like exert yourself in some kind of way. And in doing that, what you're going to do is you're actually going to help remove those stress factors from the environment, you know, from your own home environment, you know, and that's going to make you a better you. And when you feel better about yourself, your relationship with God, your relationship with your family, you're just not as prone to argue and fight and you know, get all wound up and stuff that really you wouldn't have been bothered by, you know, normally. So yeah, that's that's a bigger scheme, I guess, maybe. I mean, if you wanted something more specific, you could, I mean, I'm willing to talk.
No, I love that. And my thoughts as you're saying this is every single one of those things should be integrated into our normal lives, right? When we're not in quarantine, we have coaches and students and parents and teachers that are kind of prompting all of those, you know, and everyone responds to them differently. But now we've found ourselves, you know, isolated in our homes, and if we're not careful, we can just veg out. And these are things that should be integrated into our lives normally, and then we can find ourselves in a place where it's not happening. Dave, it's funny because the first few weeks of quarantine we're just so quiet. There's no one around campus here. There's no activities. There's nothing to do. That's so awkward for us. You know, we've talked about this before. We're a busy place. I feel like we made up activity to do just because we needed, so we were producing services and things like that. But I thought to like spiritual needs of our church and our youth group, because the devil doesn't take time off. So if he's tempting you previous to the quarantine, he's tempting you during and after as well. And I just thought, it's quiet now, but this is going to take its toll on some of our youth group spiritually. And just this week, I was talking to Trevor this morning. I think I got three to four phone calls this week from families. Hey, we've got an issue we need to deal with. And I'm seeing, unfortunately, the devil get some victories here and there. And it doesn't need to be the case. And we're not going to blame it on just the coronavirus, right? It's spiritual warfare, and it seems to be intensified by what's happening in this moment. But I'm praying for our youth group. Would you give them any, and we'll wrap this up because we're going to get on to the Bible study. I know I only asked for 5 minutes of your time, so thanks for giving us some time. But would you maybe end on that note, maybe just give us just a spiritual perspective to all this and just a challenge to our youth group just to grow close to God during this time?
Well, what the virus has done by way of isolation, by stay-at-home orders, is it's removed us from accountability structures, and it's that face-to-face accountability with, you know, your friends, your teachers, coaches, pastors, you know, spiritual leaders, that it's that accountability sometimes that has actually driven us you know, to or to not do certain things. And I think what it's causing in our hearts is it's causing an awareness to say, were we actually doing those things or not doing those things because of man-made structures? Or were we doing or not doing those things because, man, the Lord is with me at all time, you know? So we have a spiritual accountability to the Lord, no matter where we are. There's no secrets with God, you know? And that spiritual accountability actually is that's the curtain that's being pulled back in our own hearts to say, okay, my youth pastor isn't here. The leaders in my youth group, they aren't here. My coaches or whoever, they're not here. So I can do whatever I want. No, we're still spiritually accountable to God. And what this does is it actually shows us that the spiritual accountability we have to the Lord has to be first and foremost. So if we've made spiritual accountability to someone else a priority, well, that's now we're tripping and falling and stumbling through this season of isolation. But what I would also say is you have to force yourself, push yourself into spiritual structures that help keep you accountable. So if you're struggling with, your thought life, if you're struggling with self-development, if you're struggling with depression or, those kind of ideas, you have to reach out and get help. Because this is one of the reasons that the Lord has given us churches, why the Lord has given us friends. We're relational beings. We're made in the image of God. We need one another. But when that one another is taken away, man, now we actually realize who we were dependent on. So let's put our dependence in the Lord, and let's be reminded to trust in the Lord no matter where we are. Let's be reminded to honor the Lord in all that we do. And then when we feel ourselves weak and being tempted and vulnerable and struggling, let's not be too prideful to reach out. Let's not be ashamed that we have to call a youth pastor, because I know your heart, Trevor's heart would be, we want to help. That's what we're here to do. So let's reach out and let's encourage that.
I love that. You know what? I think of the gyms that have closed, and a lot of people join gyms for that accountability. They're going to pay, they're going to have a trainer there, and they have this desire to be somewhere physically, and so they get that accountability. Now, with that accountability removed, can they still be physically fit? Yeah, they can, but they're going to have to jog around the track, around their house, do more push-ups. They can't blame their physical state on their trainer, not being there, because ultimately they're responsible. And I think spiritually the same thing. And we do see how beneficial the church is, and aged men and aged women, like the Bible talks about, being there to help instruct and give counsel. So that's some good thoughts. Dave, thanks so much for taking time. What are you doing the rest of the day?
We'll go Facebook Live here in a little bit with our church family, so we're looking forward to that. And then after that, man, I'm going home, man. Stay at home order, man. I got to go home. Maybe we'll go to the beach. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Hey, are there people in your city breaking the rules?
Oh man, this is Long Beach. This Long Beach lives to break the rules. Are you kidding me? Snoop Dogg's from this town. You can't keep Snoop Dogg's people down.
Oh, that's funny. Well, hey Dave, thanks again for being with us. We're gonna move on. I'll talk to you later. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. Thank you, Trevor.